everybody, and welcome to another video, and we're continuing with a look at all of the new Punic Wars stuff, and today we are going to be looking at the Roman Marching Fort by Warlord Games. They've sent this over to me to build up, and then it'll be making some appearances in some games. So as you can see, it's an MDF kit. This is basically made through Skytrex and Warlord Games. So what we're going to do, we're going to open it up, we're going to have a look at it. I mean, it's an MDF kit at the end of the day. We'll get the whole thing stuck together, and then we'll have a look at it, and we'll put some figures on it and just see how it looks. So let's get started. Okay, so it comes decently packaged. I've had some MDF kits that don't, and things go flinging off into all directions. Okay, so each of the different parts of the camp is bagged separately. So we've got the gatehouse components, we've got the watchtower. I imagine these are the ramparts. Yep. What's this? This is an advert. These are something about connectivity, corner towers, and watchtower, and the gatehouse. Right then, what I'm going to do, just because I want to dive into this, why don't we first of all have a look at, or let's do the corner tower, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here we are. Here is the corner tower unit, which is this piece here, and I think this here, and then one of the watchtowers as well, which will slot into it. So I guess the best thing to do will be to start with the actual unit itself. So with all MDF kits, I mean, you can obviously poke these little pieces out. I just use a sharp knife, take those out, and then I always tend to just score down this cut, just because it helps when pushing out the pieces, because sometimes they can break, so it just assists a little bit. Okay. Right, so I've removed all of the pieces from the frame because I just find it easier when I'm doing MDF kits to do it this way. Just get the final bits of stray MDF off of these connectors. Right, so we have our base. This is our corner for our fort. Now we have the palisade pieces here, and you've got these stanchions that will basically connect on the back like this. So we're going to glue those in, and we'll put them in there. I did have some difficulty removing some bits of this from the frame. There's a couple of bits that were a little bit flimsy, so I've got to just trim that up. Anyway, I'll get on with this, and let's get building. So I'm going to use this Gorilla Wood glue on a Pringle lid with a brush. That's how I do, well, essentially all of my MDF structures, and an old brush. Okay, so up next we're going to now glue our completed sort of wall assemblies, and we're going to put them on this base, and you can see where the watchtower will fit when it's done. So I'm just going to crack on. I always do this while things are semi-drying. I'm not too worried about waiting for everything to fully dry. Okay, so there's the first wall section. I'm basically just going to put an elastic band around this, just so it can hold it all nice and tight, and then I will come back to you once I've completed the other one, and then I can have a look at the watchtower. So let's just get an elastic band around that. Hold it nice and tight, nothing too traumatic. Right, I'll get on with the other one. Right, so there we are. There are both of those wall sections. They're just drying. I've added the clips. So the next thing to do is to assemble watchtowers to put in the corner. So I'll get on and get started with one of those and come back to you once I've got everything clipped out. Okay, so here is the all the tower pieces. Now this is a lot more flimsy than the walls. As you can see, some of the pieces on here are very, very thin. So you've got to be extra careful when you're taking these out. And I had to use a very thin and very sharp craft knife. Now you'll see what I mean here, because look at these ladders. I don't even know how well you're going to be able to see that, but there we go. So here's all the pieces. It looks like it's going to be fairly straightforward to get together, so I'm not going to go into too much of explanation. I'm just going to get it stuck together and then we'll get it stuck onto its base. Okay, so here we are. Both sections of wall are complete and the watchtower is drying. Now, the only bit I had some problems with was the actual connections down here. I didn't want to put too much pressure on the watchtower and risk sort of snapping any part of it. So all I've done is just glued it directly onto the base rather than using the sockets that you can see down there. So all I did was I put a little bit of masking tape over the hole and then just covered it in glue and then just, there you go, just squidged the legs of the watchtower into it. And to be honest, I don't really think it makes any difference. It's just got slightly more height than it would have otherwise. So there are both of those. Now the tower tops are removable. If you want to put some single base troops in there, I might put some veletates in there. That'd be quite interesting. So there we go. So that is the main part of the walls. Now all we've got left to do is the gatehouse itself. So let's have a look at that. Right, so let's have a look at the gatehouse. This looks like it's a little bit more complicated than the other pieces. Oh, come on. I don't want to try snapping any of it as it comes out. Right, okay, let's take a look. Okay, so here we are. All of the pieces are out. This is actually a little bit smaller than I thought it was going to be. I didn't have any problems with this one as opposed to the watchtower. These pieces all came out with absolutely no issues at all. So we'll do what we've already done, and I'm just going to crack on and then stick this all together, have a look at it once that's dry, put the pieces together, and we'll see where we are. Okay, so there we are. That was pretty simple to put together. That's taken me about 10 minutes. I'm just gonna have to let that dry, but it's looking pretty good. I'm very pleased. This looks like it'll sit quite nicely together already. Right then, I'm going to leave this to dry, and what we'll do, once it's dry, I'm going to come back, just have a little look at it, and then I'm going to see about adding on some ground pastes and some tuff just to blend it in with the rest of my basing, and just, yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, so here we are. Everything is dried, and yeah, it's actually pretty stable, which I'm pleased about. So, as you can see, it sort of clips together. Here is the finished gatehouse. Now, you had the option of when you're sticking this together to decide whether or not you wanted the gates open. I decided just to have them closed, because what will happen is in game there'll be a moment where the ghouls or something are in front of this gate, and if they're open it's just going to bug me. So I decided to leave them closed. You got room up here to put a stand, as you can see. There we go, and that's all together. And inside, I switch this around, you can see with the connectors, oh, there's a spare one, that's not actually meant to be there. You can see here that connects there. Now if you wanted to, that sort of C-clip that I've just taken away, that can be put over these bits of the stanchions there and we'll clip it together. But to be honest, I think that's going to be strong enough to hold on its own. So we're nearly there. What I want to do now is I want to finish this off. This would be perfectly usable in the game, but I want to get some basing material on the insides of the walls here, underneath the watchtowers and inside the gatehouse, so it blends in with the rest of my terrain. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do that on camera. I'm going to go away. I'm going to get that base coated, and it will just be exactly the same sort of basing process that I've been using on the Carthaginians and the Romans, and I'll come back to you and we'll have a look at everything and we'll sum up. Right, so there we are. There is the finished Roman marching fort. So all I did for, I'm going to take that off because it's going to fall off. All I did for the basing was I used exactly the same formula as I've been using for the bases of the troops, and that's using AEK interactive ground pastes, just to, you know, give us that sort of sandy feel, and then just chuck on loads of tufts and loads of rocks. And then in these areas actually below the watchtowers, and I did it here on the interior of the gatehouse, I used sort of more of a sawdust mix because I just kind of thought, I don't know, I just thought it looked better and sort of made more sense. I guess you don't really have to bother doing anything to the base. I just like it to be able to blend in a little bit nicer with my mat and with the troops. Oh, there we go, that I'm using. So there we are. Let's pop the lid back on there. Now, of course, if you want to get hold of this, you can get this from Warlord Games. This retails at £35, so they've got other kits on there as well. There is, I'll drop a link to it down below, but if you go there, you'll find actually a link that Warlord have provided me with, which is an affiliate link, so you can go through that if you want to get one, if you feel like it. So there we go. What I'll do is at the end I'll chuck up a load of pictures showing what this looks like, but let me just grab a few sort of standard models and you can see where they are sort of in scale. Okay, so there we are with them in scale, so you can see it goes together quite nicely. I think this will be a really nice objective or just a point of interest on the board. You don't always have to use it as an objective. Obviously, Hail Caesar comes with siege rules. I don't know how many of those you'd be really using in this, as it's only a marching fort, but it'll be interesting to see it used in some games. I'm certainly going to be using it in our next one. As I said, I may consider just doing some small bases of some of them, the single miniatures like the Veletates and that, and just popping them in here in the watchtowers. I think that could look quite cool, or in the gatehouse here, and just super gluing them on. But overall, I'm really pleased with it. The kit overall goes together quite nicely. There, as with all of these MDF kits, you have to be careful, and if you're a bit too heavy-handed, then things will go wrong. Overall, it was pretty simple to put together. I did this whole thing in an evening, not particularly rushing. I think I had the whole thing stuck together within about sort of half an hour, 45 minutes, and then yeah, the painting, it was just a case of waiting for it to dry for the different layers. But overall, sort of, you can have it from start to finish done in about an hour and a half, and ready for the tabletop. So there we go. So thank you, Warlord, for sending me this to look at. It's going to be making its way onto a table for our next game, which should be on the way very, very soon. Hopefully the Carthaginians aren't going to be put to more problems with the introduction of the fort. If you've got any questions at all, pop them down below, and I will see you guys all again soon in the next one. I'll chuck up some photos at the end as always, and I will see you all again soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.